Hey guys, Mango7 here. Welcome to part one of my Diadem guide. Uh, Dedicated to the dancing snowman in front of you. He doesn't know I'm taking this video. He may regret this, may not. But dedicated to Stoofy and Momo from my guild, or my free company. They're both gatherers, and they're both not, as far as I'm aware, still not entirely sure how the Diadem works. I promised them that I would take them on a little field trip to Diadem one day, and I just never got around to it. So this is going to be part one of that. Obviously for you guys too. I'm going to walk you through the very basics all the way to the end of the Diadem, how you go about doing it, what kind of gear you need, what you should gather, how you should prepare, and holy crap is he ever distracting. So that's good old Stoofy there. We're gonna give him a little hug. And then a little wave goodbye, and then we're gonna head to our trusty market board here. We'll see if he follows us. So the most important part for the Diadem is planning. It's different every time, essentially, what you want to do. So I'm going to switch over here to this little cheat sheet here. This was done by a fellow on Reddit. He was a fantastic job. I would be lost without him. I don't know what we did in the Diadem until this was released. It's fantastic. I'll link it in the description. This is your lifeline here for the Diadem. If you've never been here at all, I'm just going to assume you've never seen the Diadem, never touched it, don't know what it is. It's a separate little instance here, and there's for gatherers. I'm going to focus on the gathering, by the way. I'm not going to touch the battle one. You don't make too much gil there, and I like gil, so we're going to focus on the gil. So, there's all these islands on the outer rim, and these are open the entire time the Diadem is open. On them you can find things like native gold, like ferberite, dark steel ore, rosemary, platinum ore, all that sort of thing. This island here is my favorite. It has rosemary and dark steel ore, two things worth quite a bit, and that's generally what I try to get. And then once you're done exploratory missions, which you will see in the next video, you'll understand what that means later if you've never seen it. You unlock the center part, and that's where you get all the unspoiled nodes. I'll go into that later, more into detail. That's what you probably should be here for. The unspoiled speed here is just insane. You get so much compared to outside of here. You should never gather for unspoiled nodes outside of the Diadem, in my opinion. Just quick here, to get to the bottom, that seems to be a part that confuses a lot of people. On this map here, I haven't been pointing at it, so on this map here, I've got my cursor on it now. This little red dot will transfer you from this island to the bottom island, and this one will transfer you to this one, and this one will transfer you to this one, and I'll go into it in detail. I just wanted to get that over with because I know that's a thing not everybody fully understands. So let's look at some items we can get there, what they're worth, and let's plan where we should be going. So I'm going to start off with showing you guys the number one most important part about gathering, and that is, or are, cordials. They're vital to your gil making, and you want to be spamming them as you're gathering. My rule is if spamming cordials every 4 minutes is not worth it, then you're gathering the wrong things, and you should probably just buy it. You should be making gil using cordials, even if they're 3,000 gil, basically. Right now on my server, they're a lot less than that, so it's better to just buy them, but I would take a look at crafting them on your server if they're over 2,000, 3,000 gil, depending on the prices. That's the important part about the Diadem, is they're all these things are mostly located in the Diadem, and they're hard to get outside of it. Rosemary you can get in the middle right island there. You can see Trillium you can get in the bottom right, and the good part about Trillium is you get 3 per swing, so every time you swing your axe you get 3 hits of Trillium. Apricot you can get in the top left. This is when I don't gather there. I generally just buy it. It's usually really cheap and not worth the time, but you can get it there if you really want to. Filtered water, I believe, is an Ixal rep item. You can also get them from the auction house. And aloe you can get in east of Little Alamigo, I think, in the Forgotten Springs, if I'm right. Either way, these are so important. You don't want to leave home without cordials. And if you don't want to make them, or if you can't make them, and actually it's probably better just to do this, you should just buy the high quality versions or the non-quality. It really doesn't matter. You're actually probably fine with the non-quality version. So at this point, I would buy them over crafting them at 1250 gil. It's definitely not worth... definitely costs more than that to make them. So yeah, make sure you don't leave home without those. And next thing we'll do, we'll just take a look at what we can get over in the diadem there on the sheet and figure out what we want to gather for. So I know what I'm probably going to get already, and that's rosemary. But I don't know what your server's like. You'll have to check. So rosemary are used in cordials, and they're about 2,800 each. I don't count these because it's not enough to do anything with them, really. So odds are a big stack would sell for about 2,800 right now. And then in the same island, we have dark steel ore, and the great part about dark steel ore is it's just like Trillium. You get 3 per swing. There's 700 each right now, which is about 2,100 per swing, which is pretty good. I like when things come in 3s, and you use a lot of them in endgame crafting. There's also stuff like Trillium. We'll go through that. Just take a look at them here. They're 400 each, so you get about 1,200 per swing from them. Apricots are probably pretty low, so I would just buy them. Yeah, I would just, if you really wanted to make the cordials yourself, I would just buy this stack here. There's no reason to farm them at 150 each. My general rule for gathering is right now is if it's under 1,000 gil, I will just buy it myself rather than gathering it. There's also things like native gold that are sometimes really expensive, depending on the time of day. So they're pretty cheap, so we'll just ignore those right now. We'll check ferberites too, just to be thorough. So also really cheap. Those two are things that go up and down depending on the time of day. It's really random. There's also adamantite ore, which can be gotten there. Those are pretty expensive, but we might want to... They share the same timer as the unspoiled, so that's not always something you can get. I just wanted to be thorough. And finally, we have platinum ore here at about 1,000 to 1,200. So as you can see, by far the best island there is the dark steel rosemary one. That's where I go. That's where you should probably go, and I'm guessing is probably best on all the servers. Another thing too is dark steel is super important for leveling up your free company airship. And with the release of housing coming up soon, dark steel is just going to go through the roof, in my opinion. Everybody needs a boatload of it, and it's a good thing to stock up on. So anyway, we figured that out. We wave to aggravated pacifists. We take a teleportation here. We go to Foundation. And like I said, I'm getting you there and everything. I don't want to leave anything to chance that you might not know. When it first came out, I had no idea how to queue up. I was running around like an idiot. They don't tell you. That's one thing Square really failed. I really feel like this was a great content thing. You want to teleport to Athenium Astrologicum. I really think Square dropped the ball with this. It was great content. I loved it. But they didn't explain it. It was just so confusing, and we'll get into that in a second here. Oh, my gear. We'll do that before people get mad at me. The gear is not important at all. I have way better gear than I did when I started. I have the achievement pickaxe. I was using the script one before, and I have a full set of ironworks. Some of it melted, some not. You can definitely do this with virtually zero gear. All you need is 600 GP to do the unspoiled nodes, which you can easily get without with food if you really needed to, but you shouldn't. So the important part, you have to be a battle class to queue up, which is one of the things Square failed on. There's just no reason... I have to clear my inventory. There's just no reason to have to be a battle class to zone in. You want to queue for the matron. It doesn't really say it, but this is the gathering one. It even says Disciple War and Magic. They really, really dropped the ball on this. There's zero reason this should not say gathering or something like that. This is 100% gathering. Nobody will be battling in it. And if they do, they queued up for the wrong one and they're not going to get anything done. So yeah, queue up for that. It uses one of those tokens, and I will be back in however long it takes. Usually it takes about 5 minutes, but if you're doing it in the middle of the night, like I do sometimes before I go to sleep, it will take quite a long time. So I definitely recommend doing this during the day. So that was part 1 of my 3-part diadem guide. I hope it introduced it well enough that you're at least comfortable going in it, and that's the important part. We'll get into the meat of it in the 2nd episode, and we'll get into the unspoileds for the 3rd. So yeah, thank you again. I appreciate all the comments, subscribes, all that sort of thing. It helps so much. Thank you again, and see you in part 2. If I do it right, there should be a link to it right above my head here.